Hi folks, Jexa here. Welcome to another episode of Liquid Loans Behind the Scenes. Okay, we've had a lot of information and feedback from people and they want the haunted strategy in 10 minutes. Now, I've previously done a video on feedback loops, and in that video I mentioned the haunted strategy and directed people to two video resources where they could find out a little bit more. Now, they were very technical in nature, quite long-winded, and went into the detail. And some people have said, you know what, that's really cool. Can you just break it down so it's nice and simple for us so we can understand what it's all about? So here we go. Haunted strategy in 10 minutes. Now, what we're looking at with the haunted strategy is the goals for this strategy are never selling pulse. So it's what I call an accumulation strategy. And I'm going to go into a few more of those strategies in later videos. It's about getting more pulse. So that's the accumulation thing. So never selling, getting more, staying safely collateralized. So we're using a lending system here, and the last thing you want to do is use it in a risky fashion. So this is about protecting your pulse bags. So we've got to use the system in the correct manner for which it was designed. And the thing that's good for the whole community is pumping the price of pulse. So this generates extra buy pressure on the price of pulse, which is a good thing for everyone. So it allows you to grow your bags. Whilst you're doing that, you're pumping the price of the own thing that you hold. So the actual pulse price, which you're accumulating more of, the pulse, you're pumping the price of it. So it's one of those really cool feedback loops. All right, so let's have a look at the method. So as the price of pulse appreciates, we're going to free up some of that equity. So you've already got a certain amount of pulse, and let's just say it's gone up 100%. Well, obviously there's a lot more economic energy now contained, locked in that asset. So how do we free up some of that economic value that's contained within it without having to sell it? Unlike Bitcoin and other things, if you want to release the value from it, you need to sell the asset. So that's what liquid loans is good for, never selling. So as the price of pulse appreciates, we're going to free up some equity, and we're going to use that equity to acquire more pulse. So this is that accumulation strategy. We're going to do it at safe levels, and we're going to keep our vault at a minimum collateral ratio of 1,000%. So that means you can withstand a 98% dip in the price of pulse before you're in any danger of anything that even resembles a liquidation. Now, the reality of markets is they don't move 89% in a day. There's a rare occasion when that's ever happened in crypto. Usually it's in the event of something like a rug pull or something like that. What you generally see is you see price step down over a period of time, and we've just witnessed this in Hex, 72, 75% pullback. That wasn't in one day. That's taken probably 60 odd days to play out. Okay, probably even more. So it's taken a while to do that. What that means is you've got plenty of time to react and adjust these things if you're keeping an eye on your vault and you've got some monitoring set up so that it's slinging you messages and you know where your collateral ratio sits. So that way you're not caught unawares, you can take action on it. But let's face it, 89%, you could set your vault at that, close it, go away for a week, and I think you'd be pretty safe from most events in crypto, barring the odd really crazy black swan event. Okay. Now I'm not suggesting you just go away and set up your vault and walk away for a week and not keep an eye on it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that's the sort of comfort level you should be getting from something like the haunted strategy. So I'm going to run through this graphically, and then we'll go through the actual example detail here, because I know some people learn better graphically, some people like to see the writing, some verbally. So let's cover it all. So let's have a look. We initially set up a vault. So we deposit some pulse into a vault within the liquid loan system. And then once we've got that deposit in there, we go and we mint a certain amount of USDL. Now this initial mint, if you see up here, this initial mint is 10% of the deposited pulse value. So an example, if we deposited $20,000 worth of pulse into here, we would mint $2,000 worth of USDL. Okay, so what do we do with this USDL? Now, there's numerous strategies we can deploy using the minted USDL, and I'm going to cover that in more detail in probably the next video. But for this one, we've got a particular use for it. This is the haunted strategy. So what we're taking is that minted USDL and we're sending it over to Pulse X, so to our exchange, our decentralized exchange, Pulse X, and we're converting that USDL into Pulse. So we've taken essentially $2,000 worth of USDL, sent it across to the exchange and purchased $2,000 worth of Pulse. What do we do with that Pulse? Well, in this instance, we're going to deposit that Pulse back into our vault. So what we've actually done is we've taken, on the initial deposit, we've taken a 10% loan, which puts us at a collateral ratio of 1,000%. So that's pretty safe, that's good. Then we've purchased more Pulse with that loan and put that on top of the original Pulse deposit. So we're actually turns out we're at 1,100% collateral ratio now because we've taken that extra Pulse and put it on top. But it's important to note you still incur, that debt is still accumulating. So that $2,000 worth of debt there is not cancelled out because you've taken that debt and purchased Pulse with it. So it's important to understand that. But we have topped up our collateral level even more than the initial deposit because we've added that extra purchase of the Pulse. Now, on the initial deposit, on the initial mint, that's a larger amount. So let's have a look what happens from that first point in time. So after that initial mint, now let's say we wait a week, a month, however long it takes, but the price of Pulse goes up 10%. Okay, for this strategy, you're using a 10-10 strategy. So for we're going to set our initial vault at a 10% loan, and every time the price of Pulse goes up 10%, we're going to withdraw a little bit more USDL. So we're going to do a secondary mint. So in that instance, each subsequent mint is 10% of the total Pulse value in the vault, and that's important. Okay, so we're just going to keep recycling this through. So we deposit our Pulse initially, mint some USDL, convert it to Pulse, deposit that in. When the price of Pulse goes up, we mint some extra USDL, send it across, buy some more Pulse, deposit that in. So you can see we're just circulating this through the system. Now let's have a look at the detail behind the example so you get a clearer picture of how this all looks. So in our example, we deposit $20,000 in Pulse and mint $2,000 in USDL. So that was that initial mint we done. We've taken that $2,000 of USDL and we've purchased $2,000 worth of Pulse and we've deposited it back in the vault. So that was that initial scenario we talked about. Now our vault has $22,000 of Pulse value contained in it because we've got the original 20 plus the 2,000 we brought. So now we've got a total value in the vault of 22,000. So the initial deposit plus the minted USDL, purchase the Pulse, add that to the top. Okay, price of Pulse has gone up 10%. So now the value in our vault is no longer 22,000 because we've had a 10% price increase. It's now 24,200. So the price of our price per Pulse has gone up in value by 10%. We're holding a certain amount of it, so our total vault value has increased. So what that means is we've now accumulated a little bit more equity in the Pulse that we hold. So what do we do with that? Okay, well, we mint an extra bit of USDL, but we do that so we still keep our loan ratio at that we keep our loan at 10%, which is the collateral ratio of 1,000. So in this instance, what that means is we only mint an extra $420 worth of value in USDL. Okay, because we've got to already account for the 2,000 that we've already minted. So this 420 is this amount times 10% minus the 2,000 that we've already minted. So that leaves us with the 420. Okay, what do we do with that $420 worth of USDL that we've just minted? We send it back through our same process. So we send it over here, buy more Pulse, add that to our vault. So now we've purchased our $420 worth of Pulse and we've deposited it into the vault. Our vault now has $24,620 worth of Pulse value contained in the vault. What's important is the total units of Pulse, so in terms of coins or tokens, however you want to refer to them. So the total amount of Pulse we have has increased because we've extracted some value, gone out to the market, purchased more Pulse, added that to our bag of Pulse in our vault. So this is that accumulation strategy. So over time, we're going to gradually accumulate more and more Pulse every time the price of Pulse goes up. Now, the double whammy here is the very act of us doing this helps to push the price of Pulse up quicker and quicker. You can imagine if a lot of people are using the system in this accumulation mode, that's a lot of buy pressure on Pulse on the open market. What happens when you've got a lot of buy pressure? Well, the price of Pulse creeps up. What happens when the price of Pulse creeps up? We're able to extract more value, put that back out into the market and buy more Pulse. So this is that feedback loop that we're talking about. So it's a really clever strategy and an easy way to accumulate more Pulse in a safe and responsible way. There we have it. Not quite 10 minutes. Ran over to about 12. But that's the haunted strategy in a nutshell. Catch you all on the next episode. Bye for now.